Hi, I'm Judy O'Bannon. Welcome to a new program about exciting outdoor life in our state. This show will open up the world of our wonderful woods and streams and wildlife, historic sites and parks. The folks at the Indiana Department of Natural Resources and Ball State University have teamed up to bring you adventure and information. So stay where you are and come with us into Indiana's great outdoors.
Hello and welcome to Indiana Outdoors. I'm Jill Ditmire.
And I'm Don Van Meter with my horse Flame. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Don. How are you?
I'm fine.
Hello, Flame. How are you? This is a beautiful colored horse.
Yeah, this is a sorrel quarter horse.
Oh, now what is a quarter horse?
Well, a quarter horse is a breed of horses that were bred to run short distances in quick time. And they were used around cattle a lot.
Now, do you use Flame around cattle?
No cattle around here, Jill. We use Flame mainly for trail riding.
In fact, recently Don took Flame down to the horseman's camp at Brown County State Park to show our viewers one of the fastest growing forms of recreation.
Brown County State Park is really nice this time of year. I say the horseback riding's excellent. Couldn't ask for better weather. Oh yeah, we're gonna be back.
Horseback riding in Indiana's largest state park is popular any time of the year. Come join me in Brown County State Park and see what the park has to offer the person who likes to ride.
We have by far the best facilities in the state. We have 204 campsites. We have about 70 miles of horse trails that you can ride from that campground. So we've got one of the largest horse facilities in the Midwest.
With over 70 miles of riding here in the park, you can imagine how different and how exciting the trails can be.
Well, there's a variety of different types of trails. We have some that are gravel trails, stone trails that are easily ridden. And we have a lot of trails that are narrow trails. They're not maintained with equipment like the gravel trails are. All of them have some rugged points in them, but at least the more developed trails are safe for beginners or people that are not real excited about going out and riding the rough stuff.
But before you take off down the trail, there's a few things that you got to take care of first. You want to give your horse a good brushing. That not only makes her look and feel better, it removes any dirt that might interfere with the saddle fitting well. It's also important for the horse's feet to be in good condition. Making sure there are no stones in her hooves is a good place to start. And make sure you put some padding on before the saddle so it won't rub the horse's back and make it sore. Then it's time to slip that bridle on over her head, no matter how much she may protest. Now you're ready to mount up. Just put your foot in the stirrup and swing on up, and you're ready to go. If you're not lucky enough to have horses of your own, don't worry. You can still go riding at Brown County.
If you don't have your own horse and want to ride, the only option would be to go to our saddle barn, which is here in the park. We have horse riding available for people of all ages. We've got a pony ring for children under 8 years old that can ride a pony, and the parents lead them around in a ring, and the kids really do enjoy that. I think people come to Brown County because it's got so much riding opportunity available with the 70 miles of trails we have, and people also like to come here just to be with other people with their own in the same interest. A lot of people, I think, like to come and camp at Brown County and spend most of their time socializing and just talking horses and talking trail riding and swapping stories and having big meals together. It's more than just the riding, it's the socializing that goes along with it.
So even if you're not an experienced horseman, Brown County State Park is the place to come if you enjoy horseback riding and enjoying the beautiful hills of southern Indiana. Come on, girl. Let's go.
Happy trails to you, till we meet again.
Now, way down south, almost to the Ohio River, the town of Corydon was Indiana's first state capital.
Indiana delegates wrote the first state constitution under a spreading elm tree of all things.
Corydon is also the hometown of our reporter Jared Hall. So let's go home with Jared, who gives us a history lesson.
Corydon commemorates the history of Indiana's first state capital. There isn't a city in Indiana that could claim a richer heritage. Indiana Outdoors spoke with Corydon curator Bill Brockman on the subject.
Corydon was established in 1808. It was the county seat of Harrison County, which was the fourth county formed in Indiana Territory. William Henry Harrison, who owned the original land which Corydon stands, in fact, he named the town of Corydon from a favorite song of the day, the pastoral elegy. It was about a shepherd boy named Corydon that had died, and Harrison liked this song so well he decided to name the town after this character, named it Corydon, and then in 1808, the county in turn was named after him, Harrison County.
Now, I'll admit, Corydon may be a small town, but you'd be surprised how many historical sites there are to visit.
One of the advantages we have in Corydon is we are a small town, and most of the historic sites are within a 3 or 4 block area. You don't need your car, you can walk around and travel at your leisure to see the different points of interest, and you can see all these sites that are important to see why Corydon is a National Historic District. There are about 40 points of interest along the tour. The walking tour includes places like the First State Office Building, Constitution Elm, where Indiana's first state constitution was written, the Kentner House, one of the more historic houses in Corydon, and the Leora Brown School, built in 1891 for local black students. You could spend the whole afternoon visiting the different stops on the walking tour here in Corydon.
It's time for a quick history lesson, but we have to think back a little first. Remember 4th grade and that Indiana history class? Well, you may remember that Corydon is Indiana's first state capital. And that building right behind me, well, that's where all the action took place.
First state capitol was originally built to be a courthouse for Harrison County. It was built between the years of 1814 and 1816 at a cost of $3,000. It's built of Indiana limestone. It's 40 feet by 40 feet, 2 stories. The first floor housed the House of Representatives. There were 29 members in the House the first year. The second floor housed the Senate with 10 senators the first year, and the Supreme Court with 3 Supreme Court justices. The Battle of Corydon Memorial Park is a 5 1/3 acre park that commemorates Indiana's only Civil War battle and one of the few fought north of the Mason-Dixon line. The Battle of Corydon was between the local home guard with about 450 men and the Morgan's Raiders, who had about 2,400 cavalry. The battle lasted about 30 minutes as the home guard fought off the Raiders. About 40 Confederates were wounded and 11 were killed. About 10 home guard were wounded and 5 were killed in this short battle. After the battle was over, Morgan fired into town with a couple of cannon, and eventually took the town, and the Battle of Corydon was registered as an official battle of the Civil War. There are many other things to see and do while you're in Corydon. Of course, there's the Corydon 1883 Scenic Railroad, and they have excursions on the weekends. And it's a 16-mile round trip, and that's very interesting.
So here we are on the Corydon Scenic Railroad. Going back to my childhood, I have very fond memories of when my grandpa was an engineer. And today, the train still provides lots of fun for the kids on board.
Back and see me, man. All right, you come back and see me, all right?
Well, that's a quick stop in my hometown of Corydon. For Indiana Outdoors, I'm Jared Hall.
Each year, hundreds of wild animals are wounded either naturally or by people.
And sadly, many are left for dead. But Indiana Outdoors found a woman who specializes in rehabilitating those animals.
Tammy Davis at Hardy Lake near Scottsburg is an interpretive naturalist by occupation, but everybody knows her as the Owl Lady.
I think rehabilitation is kind of one of those things that gets into your blood, and for the rest of your life, whether you want to or not, you'll be doing it because you just can't help yourself. My name's Tammy Davis. I'm the interpretive naturalist and wildlife rehabilitation person here at Hardy Lake State Recreation Area. In 1987, we received all of our federal and state permits to start working with all types of animals, particularly birds of prey. And that year we ended up getting 2 animals that came in, and from there it started to grow, and now we get over 300 animals a year. Typically what we keep only permanently injured birds of prey. This is a red-shouldered hawk. She was permanently injured when she was hit by a county highway dump truck as she was trying to cross the road after an animal. She's been with us for almost 10 years now.
Does anybody know what kind I'm holding here? I've heard horned owl. I've heard screech.
My paid position is as the interpretive naturalist for the property, which means doing the educational programs. The educational part plays a factor in the wildlife rehab part. They kind of marry together, and what ends up happening is the permanently injured animals are then taken out and programs are conducted with them. We talk about their natural history. We always try to include what happened to the bird, why it's permanently injured.
This one was found on the Ohio River, down by the water, was unable to fly, wing was shredded on the right side, and when the people found it, they also found what caused it. Wrapped around and around and around and around and around its wing was fishing line.
We want folks to know that they're not pets and they're not something that we clip the wings of, that these are legitimately injured animals that came to us from out of the wild. And just some gee whiz facts. We like to have fun with folks, and hopefully they have fun while they learn something about the animals.
Hardy Lake Rehab.
When we receive a call from an individual who has an injured animal, for example, a barn owl or any type of animal, the first step that we're going to do is establish where it's at.
Is it inside the barn so it can't get out right now?
Once we've established that, in the location and whether they have it in their possession, then we try to set up a time to meet them if they're very close by.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll be right over.
Hey, how we doing? I understand you doing pretty good, thanks. I understand you have an owl or a critter of some kind over here.
Well, there's one over there in the barn. It's injured. I don't know what's wrong with it. It's in the barn over there.
You said you thought it was an owl? Okay.
maybe you go and take a look at it.
All right. How long ago did you see it over there?
It was over there a couple hours ago, so I think it's still over there.
Okay. All right. Well, if you don't mind, can we drive over there, or is that fine?
Yeah,
or?
just go out to that gate right there and
Okay.
drive right to the barn.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll see what we can do for it. Okay. Thanks for calling.
You take those.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we do. We've got us an owl.
Whoa.
And out he comes. And there he goes. Well, all right, we called that one bad. Let's get him to a corner. Alrighty. Now, hello there. Hello there. Are you gonna try to take off? Are you gonna try to take off on me? Huh?
Had a little bit of energy.
Yeah. Get a little lift. Did you notice a wing drooping?
Yeah, I did. Didn't get very far.
Yeah, he's pretty thin. Well, it's definitely a great horn, but those eyes give that away, don't it? Let's get him loaded up. We'll take him back over to the rib and see what we can do for him here. The first thing that we're going to do when we receive an animal in is we're going to establish what the injury is. All right.
This wing is kind of drooping down.
Yeah. Yep, I got a callus right there. Got a break. Okay. My staff and I talk about the fact of whether or not these animals realize that we're trying to help them. And, at times you get the feeling maybe they don't, but more often than not, you actually do kind of get the impression they understand. I've had people ask me, wouldn't they be better off dead because they can't be returned to the wild? And my response to that, I really struggled with it for a while, wondering, is what we do, is that an honorable thing to make them stay in captivity like this? But the thing that I've found in 11 years of working with them is that they make the ultimate decision of whether they live or die. I've had animals that were hit by semis on the interstate, and there's no real good reason why they're still alive. And not only did they live, but they recovered and were released. So it comes down to will to live. And apparently there's something in these permanently injured birds that says that no matter what, we have that will to live.
Tammy says the best way to help an injured animal is to call your local conservation officer, who will come and pick up the animal and make sure it gets treatment.
Oh, that's good. Our next story comes from East Central Indiana near Selma.
Jim and Judy Lambert decided to do something about Indiana's disappearing wilderness.
They converted their own backyard into a restored prairie.
We moved out here 15 years ago and decided we wanted to put in a prairie out there in our 4-acre field in front of our pond, and so we've been working on it every year since then.
I guess our home means to me a place that you can feel peaceful and at ease, and yet at the same time feel stimulated and find something new and exciting every day in either a plant or a creature.
I think private citizens should become involved. We can't wait for the state parks to do it all, or the Department of Natural Resources to do it all. We have a total of 6 acres here, and 3/4 of an acre is the pond and about an acre of tall grass prairie.
One of the first things we usually do in the morning is make a cup of coffee, and then we go out and walk around to see what's going on, who's come to visit.
We've always enjoyed the outdoors. Judy particularly loves flowers a lot. before we changed the land here, we just had this home that we bought with 2 acres of grass, and where our prairie and our pond is was a farm field. There were soybeans planted there. In order to get the land the way it is now, we had a fellow come and dig our pond for us, and then he put some hills in around the pond to make it more interesting to see. It was just flat farmland before we got a hold of it.
I think it's real important when someone decides they want to garden that they stop and think about why they want to garden and what they want to accomplish with that, and to keep things in a perspective that you're going to enjoy it. Don't start out so big that it's a burden.
Start small, do a lot of reading, and there are a lot of sources of wildflower, of prairie wildflowers and prairie grasses. Lots of different catalogs that will give you what you want. Everybody can do their own little bit.
There's just a wonderful sense of accomplishment that comes when all of a sudden you've developed the kind of environment that you had envisioned. It's real important that we make sure we set aside and reclaim our heritage in the land and the plants and the environment that we have.
I think it's important to reclaim prairie lands is that they're rapidly disappearing. Our goal for our property is to get it as close to a tall grass prairie as we can, although we realize that the original tall grass prairies developed over hundreds and hundreds of years. So we will never in our lifetime come close to looking what a original tall grass prairie was like, but we're trying hard.
Do you have a big tree in your yard? Have you ever wondered if it's the biggest tree of its kind in the state?
Indiana's Division of Forestry is now trying to record the biggest trees of each species in a big tree register.
We traveled to Evansville to find out how to get your big tree in the record books.
Big Tree Register is through the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and it's where individuals measure trees maybe on their own property or properties that other people own around their area or even other parts of the state. And then they can turn in that information to the Department of Forestry within the DNR to get that tree hopefully on the tree registry for being the largest tree of that species in the state. Anybody can do it. You would have to get a form from the Forestry Department and find out the information on there and try to measure it as closely as you can. And then they have people that come out and verify that and remeasure it. The person who's nominated all of our trees and a lot of other trees in southern Indiana is one of our volunteers, Tom Westfall, and he's out measuring trees every year.
20 feet right here, 20 feet 6 inches, see?
And nominates even more than actually qualify, so he's out there measuring a lot of trees.
I nominated 60 trees. And out of all those 60, I got 22 state champions. But you got to do that. If I would have nominated 22, I might have got 6. See?
Initially, the way he measures the tree is with a ruler and marking a tree at a height of, say, 5 feet.
I measure it to be sure. No guessing on this.
And then using that ruler and stepping back to where he can get a proportion of size within the inch mark or 2 inch mark of that ruler.
Now what I do is get those markers synchronized with my first increment.
To the top of the tree, and then using proportions to get that height.
Where the top of the tree comes on my gauge, that's how tall it is, because I got it marked all the way up. And this tree is 95 feet.
He's nominated trees within the nature preserve, Evansville State Hospital grounds, and a lot of other properties around southern Indiana.
Most of your nominations come from the southern part of the state, because so many of the counties up north don't send any nominations. So there might be some huge trees up there that we don't even know about. My name is Tom Westfall, and I'm a tree enthusiast.
For more information on Indiana Big Tree Register, or for a copy, call Division of Forestry 317-232-4105.
Well, that's our show for this week. Thank you for joining us on Indiana Outdoors.
Maybe we'll see you on the trails. So long until next time.
Have a good ride, Don. See you, Flame.